Hello, I'm Dr. Helen PENSANTI, and welcome to Doctor, where medical conversation meets everyday understanding for you and your health. Today, we're going to talk about a condition that affects millions of people worldwide, and many of them don't even realize they have it until the symptoms start to interfere with daily life. We're talking about Parkinson's disease, what it is, why it happens, and how we're managing it today using both traditional and modern therapies. Joining me is a very special guest, a pioneer in integrative and regenerative medicine, a board certified physician in occupational and preventive medicine. He has spent years at the forefront of personalized treatment for chronic neurodegenerative conditions. Please welcome Dr. Bryn Henderson. Dr. Henderson, let's start at the beginning. What exactly is Parkinson's disease?
Parkinson's disease, where the brain slowly stops producing dopamine. It's a chemical. It's called a neurotransmitter. And that type of chemical helps control mood. When there's less dopamine, people begin to experience symptoms. It begins with shaking, stiffness, and eventually difficulty with balance and walking. It's a chronic disease, and it means it lasts a long time and gets worse gradually.
Well, who gets it?
Well, Parkinson mostly affects people over the age of 60. Men are a little more likely to get it than women, and 1 out of every 100 people over 60 will develop it.
Wait a minute, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
1 out of every 100 are going to develop Parkinson's?
Well, the point is the risk increases as you get older, and we can intervene.
Well, what are the known causes and risk factors for Parkinson's?
Well, most cases are not directly inherited. There's certain genes that increase your risk. Also, exposure to pesticides, heavy metals, living in rural areas. And interestingly, another major impact is a sedentary lifestyle. That also increases your risk dramatically.
All right, so what does Parkinson actually do to the brain?
Brain cells that make dopamine, especially in the region called the substantia nigra, start to die. These cells also build up harmful proteins. They're called Lewy bodies. And the loss of dopamine throws off the brain's ability to control muscles, which is why we see tremors and slow movements.
All right, what are some of the early symptoms that our listeners should look out for?
Anytime you have shaking or tremor, sometimes even weakness, symptoms can start subtly. Slower movements, stiffness. I've seen it often with handwriting. Think of signing your checks and all of a sudden your
Penmanship.
Yeah, that's right. And the letters get smaller. Changes in walking's another one, the shuffle, and even constipation or depression appears early, sometimes even years before the classic tremor.
Is there a definitive test for Parkinson's?
It's mostly diagnosed by neurologists through a multiple-pronged physical exam and review of symptoms. There are very strong scans, it's called DAT scan, that can help show the dopamine activity in the brain, but it's rare. And if symptoms improve with the dopamine medicine, that's a major.
So you're talking about this DAT scan. Do all neurologists have that in their office, or do you have to go to a special place to have it done?
The DAT scan is known as a dopamine transporter scan. That's really what it is. And it's a type of SPECT scan. So that means it's a single proton emission computed tomographer that can help in the diagnosis of Parkinson's and other Parkinsonian syndromes. It helps principally because it helps visualize the dopamine transmitter process of the brain.
And is this in neurology offices, or does someone have to be sent to a radiologist to get this?
The latter. You have to be sent. It's inexpensive.
It is.
Uh-huh.
But if you want to know and you've got the money,
Oh, for sure.
you could pay cash, couldn't you?
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about today's treatment.
The cornerstone of treatment is medication, especially levodopa, which replaces the missing dopamine. There are also other drugs that mimic dopamine or help it last longer. The therapies, physical and kinesiology therapies, as well as occupational therapy and speech therapy, are also all very important. For advanced cases, you even can consider deep brain stimulation. That is a fun area that's expanding. It's kind of a pacemaker for your brain.
All right. So you mentioned you've worked with a lot of promising regenerative treatments. So what are we talking about with Parkinson's?
Well, absolutely. We've had many excellent results with regenerative cells with Parkinson's because the sooner you impact the balance in the body of the Parkinsonian patient, you're able to affect many things. Just utilizing the injections and the stem cells, peptides, and exosomes, and oh my goodness, you can really do a very good job.
So we're talking BPC 157 again?
Yep.
I guess BPC 157 is like a star of a lot of the treatments.
No question. It's fantastic for musculoskeletal, and that's what this is.
Yeah.
And the PRP we use all the time with this. So platelet-rich plasma, again, spin it down, and that there's no complications from that. Even gene therapy is being used. It's very experimental at this time, but it's very exciting. So we don't just treat symptoms, we repair and fix parts of the brain itself. You see benefits from acupuncture. You see the major impact of the gut microbiota. These therapies are exciting. Another fun one is the intranasal delivery. Instead of going through the vein, you can do a snort up your nasal and go through the cribriform plate, the major nerve barrier to the brain. And because exosomes are nanos, they're so little, they sneak right by.
So when you're doing the nasal inhaling, what are you inhaling?
The dopamine replacement.
So it's like with asthmatics, they're doing a inhaler.
Yeah, you have to have the right mix. In other words, the nasal inhalers have to have a very, very small molecule.
So people know that people who have asthma use an inhaler.
Yeah.
Now you're saying you could go through the nose.
Yes, because the nose is the most direct hit into the brain. That's how come the cocaine addicts use the nose, right? And so the cribriform plate, which sits right between your eyes, is a direct passageway into the brain. It's pretty exciting. These emerging therapies are helping patients already because we're able to get through the blood-brain barrier.
All right, well, let's talk about a patient that you had.
Okay, that's fine. She was 50 years old. She came in initially with nausea and seizures, which were later linked to her medication side effects. As her condition progressed, we confirmed her dopamine loss through the DAT scan, and over time we adjusted her treatment to include therapies for her physical and kinesiology and brain mapping and regenerative theories like you were mentioning, BPC 157. Her quality of life improved dramatically. In fact, she even went back to work. It's a multi-layered approach, and it was inspiring for me to see how well she did.
So what are some of the complications or challenges people with Parkinson's often have to deal with?
Parkinsonians have difficulty with major movement issues. They get depression and they deteriorate if they're not helped. So besides movement issues, though, they have mega problems with depression and sleep and blood pressure, all kinds. Anything that slows down in the body slows down with Parkinsonian. And so what we do is we help the overall picture.
What can families and caregivers do to help?
Parkinsonian families, because it doesn't affect just one person, it affects everybody in that family. They're all being careful so they don't fall and getting them in a comfortable site to sleep and sit. Caregivers need education, patience, and often emotional support themselves. I encourage them to go as a family because we have to get into a daily routine that protects everybody from burnout. This isn't going away. You can control it. Sometimes it controls the whole family. So please be considerate of all your relatives and friends that help, because the more they know, the more education they have, and communication they do with their providers is key.
All right. Before we wrap up, let's do your famous mnemonics that are very helpful to our listeners. And this one is called Parkinson. So let's go over it. P stands for
physical activity every day. Exercise improves mobility, balance, and mood.
A.
Adhere to medications. Take the levodopa or whatever medicines you're taking as prescribed, please.
R.
Regular physician visits. Track the progression and adjust the treatment plan.
K.
Keep mentally active. Puzzles, reading, learning new skills, singing and supporting music.
I.
Identify fall clearly. Fall risks are definitely dangerous. So clear the clutter, install the grab bars, and create a balanced therapy.
N.
Nutrition matters. High fiber foods ease constipation. Protein timing helps meds work.
S.
Speech and swallowing. Swallowing is frequently a problem. So SLP, which helps with the voice and safe eating, should be initiated early.
O.
O is for occupational therapy. Fine motor movements, the dexterity in your hands, between your fingers and your thumb and your wrists, very, very important.
N.
Nutritional, emotional health. Treat the depression. Join support groups. Seek the counseling. It's fascinating how much good is done after they get through a whole plan.
Dr. Henderson, thank you for being with us today and breaking this all down for us so clearly and compassionately. Parkinson's may be a tough road, but with the right approach and with, as you said, caregivers and family, the patient can manage it and live fuller lives. So, to those who are listening, the early signs shouldn't be ignored. Hope is always part of the treatment plan. If you would like to see Dr. Bryn Henderson in person, I encourage you to call 714-639-4013. His office is at 615 East Chapman Avenue in Orange, California. That's in Orange County, California. And if you'd like to get in touch with me, go to my website, www.askdrhelen.com. That's www.askdrhelen.com. Until next time, I'm Dr. Helen PENSANTI. This is Doctor to Doctor, where real doctors share innovative information to bring hope to you for your health. Join us next time. Bye for now.